All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the best NASCAR breakdown show in the industry, where we're taking a look at the Richmond Toyota Owners 400 NASCAR Cup Series race, Sunday, March 3rd, April 3rd, whatever the hell it is. My name is Kevin Allen, aka the Geek from DFS Army. I've got Taco here with me. We're going to break it all down for you guys, starting right now. All right, we are back, and I've got Taco with me to break this thing down. Maybe Brady show up as well. Get a full trifecta going. And in the background, you see the DFS Army NASCAR research station, where we're going to kind of get through all the details of this race. Richmond is an interesting one. And Taco, we were just talking before the podcast started. So this is a chalky race, low carnage. Give me a little breakdown of the race overall and how it normally plays out.
So Richmond is an interesting track. I use it all the time as an example of like the most chalky predictive race ever. Carnage levels pretty much at an all-time low. You can see it right there. On DraftKings, it's pretty straightforward. You want the dominators. You want the guys starting in the top 5. It is like the most extreme example of that of any track.
So not that easy to move forward. Not a whole lot of carnage. We've got a flat track, 3/4 of a mile. How many laps are we looking at?
400. I would just look at first place right there.
Yeah.
They're hitting
this is a great chart,
top 6 in fantasy points 76% of the time.
What's
absolutely
rare,
bonkers.
I mean, what's rare
96 here? Lead laps, 44 fast laps. It just consistently, we've seen the pole sitter here just absolutely dominate.
I mean, what's rare for me isn't so much the pole sitter domination, it's the other top 6 starter domination. Like, it's not like you're getting this crazy drop off. Let's take a look at the turd zone here. And yeah, I mean, we're not seeing too much of place differential guys being a major factor. Why do you think that is? What is going on here? Why is it?
Guys are getting caught laps down. So place differential, not great. At least on DraftKings. On Fanduel, place differential, you kind of really want that. But on DraftKings, I mean, last race we had at Richmond, I was looking at like 2 laps to go. There was literally like 9 people on the lead lap. It's going to be so hard to justify taking those guys that are started back in the 30s.
Even if it's an elite driver, though? Like, is Ricky Stenhouse falling laps behind? Is Alex Bowman falling laps behind?
Like, you'll see guys like Logano get lapped here. Bowman get lapped here. Yes, it's brutal out there.
That's that does change a little bit of the overall approach that you might do in a regular race. And it's I mean, again, it's really hard to deny that there's an emphasis here on taking some of these drivers starting up front, even if it goes against our sensibilities. Now, 400 laps, that's a lot of laps.
Last year was kind of the one race. I checked kind of race by race. And last season was kind of the one race where like the guys starting in the front didn't necessarily do as well, but we didn't have qualifying then. Historically, qualifying is highly correlated with finishing position here, probably more than any other track. And qualifying is back, so it's pretty easy to see who has the fastest car this week. I think that's there's no doubt in anyone's mind that Blaney's literally sitting there at the fastest car ever. So despite his struggles at the track, you kind of have to expect that he just does what we've seen pole sitters at Richmond do. But it's a new car, so will all these old trends continue on? Still remains to be seen. We're still kind of in the learning phase. We saw at Phoenix. Phoenix is like the key this week. This is the first time all season that we've actually had a race that we can look at, a race that we've been to this season and compare it, because Phoenix and Richmond are really good corollary tracks. And if you think about it, we've gone to road courses. We took Atlanta and made it a super speedway. Like we have not been to 2 tracks of the same track type until just now. So we finally have a 1 race sample size that we can use of data from the next gen car. So we're going to be looking at that Phoenix race a lot. And the guys that were good there, Elliott, Briscoe, won and dominated. Blaney was the top dominator. So I think that's probably the best angle to look at. And, you know, things like track history, although granted, this is usually like the ultimate track history track, because guys, you'll see it on the research station. Guys that do well here over and over and over. But maybe we could challenge that a bit this week, because I think, again, the mid-tier guys, we've seen these guys take massive leaps. These young guys, Briscoe, Chastain, Eric Jones, Daniel Suarez, these guys are way more competitive, and they honestly have everything they need to dominate, or they never would before. They would never even dream about it. So the tides, they are changing. And Richmond, also, another thing about this track is once things get settled out, the reason this is such a low carnage race is because they just run single file on the outside. It's just very boring. It's probably one of the most boring races you could possibly watch, sadly. There's not going to be much that happens. Not really many cautions. Not very much carnage. And who knows what'll happen with this next-gen car, what kind of issues may arise, but I don't really expect much. It's going to be kind of a cookie-cutter race. Very few guys are going to be left on the lead lap. And, yeah, that's kind of approach we're going to take this race.
All right, I am back. That was really weird.
Oh.
Talk, are you there?
Did you get sent to the Shadow Realm?
Man, that was crazy. I just had the, the occasional, how your power just goes out once in a while.
Oh, man.
My power just randomly flickered out
during a live stream. Live.
You don't get that? You don't see that every day. At least Naked Hot Chicks comments person was here to entertain everybody for that. I was in a race against time trying to turn the computer back on. It takes that 3 minutes.
Good thing we got the SSD. We chilling.
Yeah, there we go. So I don't know where we got to from there. Were you able to?
I was just talking about the track, kind of.
All right, there we go. So we got some track details out there.
File.
Right. Live
boring race, predictive race.
Live breakdowns, people. That's how it goes. It's real. Mm-hmm. Rolling blackouts, man. Freaking power. All right. Anyway, let's get back into this. So what I just put up on the screen is the practice times. Taco, this is one of my favorite screens. This is one of my favorite things that we have in the DFS Army Research Station. I think it's one of the best tools around. But I'm having a hard time. All right. So based on these practice times, can we? Are there any takeaways? Takeaways.
So the track changes a lot as we go, and you saw as people stay out. Other times just getting slower and slower and slower. Most people took a pretty big run. We're just looking for consistent, long stretched out runs of green here. And there's some guys that just ran a few laps, like Briscoe. He pretty much just put out one hop lap and was like, yep, car's good. Because he's literally sitting on the winning race car from Phoenix. And I talked about how Phoenix is the one race we're going to be going back to over and over and looking and seeing how people did, because it's the one corollary course or track that we have to go off of with the next gen car.
Phoenix was next gen, so that was recent enough that we could feel pretty confident that it's the same thing. It's similar.
Yes, we can finally quit just going 100% off of old info in a car that we don't even drive anymore.
So let's talk about a couple of the favorites, the guys who, I just want to see some practice times for some of the more favorite drivers. Number one, I'm not even seeing Chase Elliott here. Am I blind? Oh, there he is. Okay. So Chase, Larson, anything predictive about their time that we could look at and go, yeah, these guys are fast. We saw yesterday that Ty Gibbs was the fastest kind of car in practice, and that carried through.
It seems fine. Fastest car was Kyle Busch, and randomly, Chris Buescher was really fast. They run a ton of laps.
He ran enough. I think you can't look at Logano who added all these extra laps at the end. It does look to me like you're getting tire wear going on, and so if you ran more laps, your average time is just going to be higher because.
Well, long run speed actually matters a whole lot here because of how long these runs go and how little carnage there is, and it's usually just single file. And kind of like what we saw off the Xfinity race yesterday, you're going to pass these younger, more aggressive drivers, but just saving your equipment better.
That leads. Well, we'll see if that is the actual case because these younger, more aggressive drivers have been kicking ass this entire series.
Absolutely.
If we consider Chastain and Briscoe and those types of guys, younger, more aggressive. I don't know, but they've been crushing it. So, any other screens we want to take a look at from the research station before we jump into the player by player? Anything else predictive here?
Yes, let's go to tracks. This is going to point out a lot of things. So you can see this is number one for both average pole sitter laps led and average pole sitter fast laps, and number two in average percentage of laps finished. So very low carnage. Only Auto Club had more people finish their laps. So it'd be like obviously Bristol. It's also a short track, but it's one of the lowest when it comes to laps finished. Just a lot more carnage at Bristol.
I mean, it's funny. These percentages are so close together. I'm surprised at how tight it all is. So Homestead, Miami, you've got Auto Club, and you've got Richmond as the three least carnagey type of tracks. But I think more telling, percentage of race under caution. It's pretty low here, 12%. It's at the bottom. Average pole laps led, very high. So this definitely favors the pole sitter a little bit. And it looks like some of the other short tracks kind of are on the same track, as so they say.
Yep. And like the other short tracks, this is among the tops of average DK fantasy point percentage for guys starting in the top 10. And you can see if you scroll over to guys starting 30th or worse, this is one of the worst tracks for it.
Yeah,
but one of the best on FanDuel because of how FanDuel's going worse. I'm kind of interested in playing a little FanDuel this week.
Yeah, really.
There's a lot of place differential plays to make, but I don't know if DraftKings is the best place to take them. I kind of like taking the guys like Stenhouse, Ty Dillon, etc. on FanDuel. And you can kind of just do whatever you want there at that point because salary is kind of nothing this week.
So
you see there's a very low percentage of people that finish on the lead lap, but a huge percentage, like by far the top percentage of people that finish 95% or more of their laps. So very low DNFs, but also a very low number of drivers finishing on the lead lap because of how green the race runs. And everybody just gets lapped eventually. That's kind of the name of the game here.
Long green runs. Let's see, 49% on the lead lap. So, for a 3/4 mile track here, that is pretty low. I'm looking at some of the other ones. Dover, which seems to have similar kind of stats with a lack of carnage, even if I'm not sure what the size of that one is. But let's see, 40. I'm just trying to get some comparables to lead lap because you had mentioned only 9 cars on the lead lap in the last one, but that ain't the case.
How about we go down and scroll over one tab to the correlations. There we go.
Here we are.
So you can see the highest correlating tracks, New Hampshire, Loudon. That makes a lot of sense. Denny Hamlet also super good there. Pretty much the same size, flat, short track. You got Homestead, another track that's very similar because just like Richmond, single file on the outside. Atlanta, same sort of way, single file track. Dover, single file track. Phoenix, very, very similar track, flat, short track.
So when you say single file, you're saying it's difficult to pass.
Yes, very difficult to pass. A lot of single file action. Yes, okay. It's not like Kansas, Las Vegas, Auto Club, like these tracks with multiple grooves. Bristol, no, it's these kinds of tracks, like these high correlated tracks. They tend to correlate across the board with each other. They're just really cookie cutter, straightforward. Follow the leader.
Yeah, the biggest thing here though is this being 3/4 of a mile instead of, and it's flat, but 3/4 of a mile. Now, let me ask, on these flat tracks, is there a benefit to riding near the wall?
This track, that is the lane. It's just one lane. It's just by the wall.
Okay.
It's very hard to pass.
Everybody's going to be up by the wall. And did the
Not
traditional
like on the wall, so it's not like a Reddick track. It's just
that's what I was going to ask. If it's a I love a Reddick track.
Nah.
I love a Reddick track. Okay, so it's not
he doesn't play this week.
All right, so let's get into the breakdown of the players, because one of the interesting things. Actually, I'm going to go right back to page one before we do that here.
I think the last tab I want to look at is track types.
We'll go to track types.
It'll just point out a few guys that do particularly well here.
By the way, I just want to point out the depth of information in the DFS Army NASCAR Research Station is mind-blowing, and this is really all you ever need to be successful in NASCAR DFS. Access to a sheet like this, of course, projections, all that other stuff, but it's all in one spot. No one has anything like it. So Taco, man, awesome sheet. I love this. I love the research station here. And, this is a reason alone. If you're not, get subscribed to DFS Army. We have these for every sport. It's not like any other site. All right. So
all your usual suspects here, this is pretty much you'd expect to be good at short and flat tracks. They really do just stick out. Almarola. You saw last season, he did significantly better.
This is we got short flat right here. We got short flat right here. So, you are okay. So
I'm looking at driver rating. Yeah. Almarola, Logano, Christopher Bell. We know from Xfinity he is amazing at short and flat tracks. Keselowski, Elliott, Truex.
Yeah, but we hate Keselowski.
Pretty much you expect. And at the very, very bottom, you notice Chris Buescher sucks here.
But yet he looks pretty good.
McDowell. These two guys, they also have like horrid track history here. It kind of checks out.
Okay, Larson. Well, hello. All right. Kyle Busch, who quote unquote is good at every track, loses a little bit.
He used to be really good at short and flat tracks. Whereas his dad is only since 2020. He's kind of struggled across the board, especially these sort of tracks without practice times. But he seems to be doing a little better now that we can practice. I don't know.
Austin Dillon interesting case today.
Yeah, he's going to be a key player. We'll get there.
Not necessarily getting better here, but looks like. I mean, I'm
only interested in the very top, the very bottom here.
I think Christopher Bell and Chase Elliott, and maybe Truex. So the three that stand out to me. Listen, Almarola, I get it. I think he's starting weird for this track. You don't want to have too much of that. Logano, he's just not. Logano to me seems like that guy.
He doesn't get dominator points on DraftKings, but he's like someone you could play on Fanduel. He makes up for it a lot there.
I feel like the new school where so many other drivers are good is hurting Logano a little bit. It's just how fantasy scoring is. He gets his production in a very similar way to Hamlin, where he's just safe and conservative and holds his equipment back, but it doesn't really result in a lot of fast laps. And we kind of like those guys that just go vroom, vroom, you know? There we go. I do love seeing Chase Elliott at a track where he's better than his average. That is big for me.
A lot of that is Phoenix. But at Truex, we see him just crush every one of these, like last season especially. And here at this track, he's got the best recent track history of anyone.
Still, Truex, his recent history in general hasn't been that great. So that's a bit of a faith play right there. Chastain has been pretty good and looks like he gets a little better at these short flat tracks. So I'll take that. And Blaney on the
this is where he first started to pop off last season.
Yeah.
Started getting some top 10 finishes and Chip Ganassi racing equipment.
Which one was that for Blaney?
No, for Chastain.
Oh, for Chastain.
And Blaney too. I mean, Blaney's just been like the guy. With the next gen car, he's like jumped up to S tier.
Loving Blaney on the pole, and there's a lot of things pointing to him being a good play here. On the flip side, you've got these last three. I'm not gonna get too into them, but Harvick, Hamlin, and Custer.
Yeah. I mean, that's such a low percentage. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, I'm only looking at people like 10+% that really kind of stick out.
The only other predictive
thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, the other predictive.
Bubba also. I think he's a bait play. Yeah.
Got to watch out for this crew. I mean, Bubba's going to be popular. Larson's going to be extremely popular. I tend to not believe Larson can ever, quote unquote, be bad at any kind of track.
Starting 21st, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I don't think he could be that bad. Kyle Busch, though, hey, man, this is not a place where he gets better. Okay, good to know.
Historically, this is his best track type by far.
But
so
yet,
it's been
here it is.
Weird seeing him.
Not agree.
Yeah.
The numbers do not.
The last 2 years, absolutely. He has not done anything. It's been so weird. He's been beginning his production at 1.5 mile tracks, oddly enough. Wonder if he I always say one unique, man, because I like
No,
that tight range.
20 lineups, you got to make 2 uniques. It's only 20. You got to do 2. And as far as
I really like running lineups where it's just like one player different than the other. I don't know. I think that's honestly fine.
Sleepy Joe, listen, Keselowski, man, he's been garbage. He's been garbage this year. I wouldn't get.
He's
super
down to
excited about
70 some to 1 odds. Like, it's pretty bad.
So that does bring us to the main page, win odds, and a couple people are going to ask who's going to win. And I don't know if you could see this. I'm not sure.
There's a giant block.
But, I mean, look at this. The odds makers themselves, and this is what makes this race fascinating for me, guys. The odds makers have no fucking idea who should be favored. They don't know.
They really don't. I figured that they would hang like tricks or something really low, but nope. It's just across the board. I don't know.
This is basically telling
surprised
you.
that Blaney's not the favorite, but I think it's his track history here that holds him back. Or keeps people from betting him.
These guys are also close together. There's virtually no difference. There is no difference between the win odds for Truex, for Blaney, for Kyle Larson. Busch is right there. Chase Elliott just behind them. They're all, even Logano, everybody's got very similar win odds, and this is not going to.
But they're not going to have similar ownership numbers, so I'm kind of going to play that.
There it is.
Might even play guys that are projected pretty low just because the opportunity is there. Because like if any of these guys dominates, it kind of blows their projections out of the water. You know what I'm saying?
You want to talk about plus
like Byron
situations?
Yeah, Byron's like case in point here. He's gonna be super low owned. He has never led a single lap here on paper. He is a dog shit play, but he's starting second and could literally just like dominate. And whoever gets out in front here, they're just in front forever. It doesn't matter how they got there.
Look at it. Yeah. It's an ownership play. This is plus EV minus EV. If you accept this, here, these guys are all essentially the same probability of winning, but you look over here at the ownerships and they're not the same. So it's not that extreme, but I mean, Willie Byron definitely stands out as someone that is probably under-owned relative to his win odds and his chances of being in the nuts lineup, in the perfect lineup. He's just too little. And I would be looking across the board at, I mean, everybody's 37%. Like maybe I might go a little heavier on Chris Bell. I just might look for some of the ones that are a little bit lower owned because the odds makers can't figure it out. And if they can't figure it out, we're definitely not going to figure it out. We'll talk at the end about who we think can win this. Should we set dominators as 1 through 6 and force one of those 6 into every lineup?
I don't even mind that strategy. Usually I think that's an over constraint, but here at this track in particular, I don't mind it.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
I'd say maybe add the 8th place driver just in case, but
you need to like look again at who is in 1 through 6. Let me sort that. And then, you know,
I could see someone like moving up from like, I don't know, like say it could not so much like Logano or Hamlin, but I could see like Chastain coming up from 8th and just leading a whole lot here. But I mean, overall, I want most of my lineups to have at least one guy from the top 5. That does make a lot of sense to use that rule.
I mean, I would include Christopher Bell also in that group of potential dominators. Chastain and Bell, and so if you did like 1 through 9, that'd be pretty. I almost want 2 of that group here, but probably not.
I'd almost prefer setting just like the top. I think I have it set to like the top 10 plus like Hamlin or something. I like at least 2 dominators as a rule this week with how it's preset.
Yeah, it's not bad.
You can make your bitch and change it to whatever you want.
If you expand it out to, I guess maybe I'd probably go over top 16 because I'd include Reddick and Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin in that mix, and then you almost want 2 from that group. So yeah, there's a few different ways to approach this. There's definitely some I unfriend you situations here. So let's get down to the player picks. And guys, before we get into it, again, remember, like, subscribe. Oh, Kenny G likes Harvick. Oh boy. Yeah, no one's gonna own him, but like, subscribe, whatever it is, YouTube algorithm stuff, hit it up. Let us know you're out there. Let us know you're watching, and we will get to the player breakdowns right now. So Taco, I've got your cheat sheet up again. Taking a look at the overall look of this race, and I'm seeing a lot of stars right up at the top because much like the odds makers, it's really tricky in this race to pick a winner. We've picked winners the last 2 of these shows. Yesterday we picked Ty Gibbs won that shit, right? Like that was the right pick, right?
Yeah, but
and then
I think Brady picked John Hunter Nemechek, and John Hunter Nemechek was the better play. Just Ty Gibbs in Ty Gibbs fashion, literally just bullied him for the win at the end.
But I have to say,
last week you needed both of them, or else you didn't make no money.
We nailed the winner last week, and Brady bet it for a 5-figure win. On Chastain, so that was pretty awesome. I do like Chastain again here. So I like these guys who are not the big name guys to potentially win this race. Not this zone all the way up top, but let's start at the top with Chase Elliott, who looks to be less owned than he normally is and should be in a race where he is traditionally better than average. So,
we hear about is Chase Elliott struggling. Is he struggling?
That's when you struggling. That's when
the question is,
is
he really struggling? He had the best average running position of anyone at Phoenix. Of course, he's really good at Phoenix. He's like one of the best. This track type's good for him. Starting 15th, that's fine. At $10,500, is he overpriced compared to other guys? Like, should he have been like the most expensive driver by a lot here? Probably not. Can you afford him? Very easily. Let's think about this. Like, you can afford anyone that you want. The value is crazy. There are a lot of good 7-6K guys who, even like lower 8K guys. Like, there's so many big place differential plays. Kurt Busch, Alex Bowman. Chase Elliott is very easy to afford. I think people kind of end up there, but I think that Larson's going to suck in most of this ownership. Honestly, my opinions on this slate changes constantly. I slept on it, and I think we went to bed. Me and Brady both were like, no Byron. Now I just sit down and think about it. It's like, he's like a very good like GPP stand to make. Like, if you want to do that,
you can't fade the 11%. I mean, if it's going to be low on like that, you can't fade it. You know what's going to happen is Byron is going to be in the lead right off the bat. He's going to pass. If you fade him, I promise you, he will pass Blaney. He will be sitting in the lead, and then you're going to spend an entire race going, oh no, he better get past. And then he'll get past. You'll be like, all right, he fell back, and then he's going to be back in the lead again, and you'll be like, fuck, the one guy, the one time. But that happens way too much. So you cannot fade this. I don't care. Again, the odds makers, win odds 12x. That's not that bad. You can't
go back to Chase.
All right.
One thing we kind of saw is like getting stuck in traffic here or work your way up actually kind of sucks. Because again, the starting position is just so massive. Track position is huge here. So he probably won't be a factor in stage 1. You kind of have to just give that up. Get some place differential, which is it's cool for Fanduel, but like it's not really important at all. It's like I would just much rather have Ryan Blaney than Chase Elliott. No, it doesn't even matter the salaries. If their salaries are switched, I probably would still prefer Blaney, just because his value is pretty much guaranteed. I don't use that term exactly, but it's like it's as safe a bet as you're gonna get. As for Elliott, you're kind of really gambling that he gets his way up to the front and does something.
I'm going to make an argument for the Ryan Blaney play. So a lot of times you have like, he's on the pole, and if he falls back at all, he's going to lose all these points. When does he fall back? This is Richmond, right? 3/4 mile, 400 laps. There's going to be many dominator points.
It's not like last season or the season before where there's no qualifying, no practice. They get that competition caution a few laps in. No, he
earned it, right?
He should easily sail away.
Yeah, it's
Byron.
Byron second. I mean, they're going to be racing. They're going to be.
Problem with Byron second is you see him qualifying front row a lot, and he rarely ever dominates off the rip. Blaney is, I think, 80% of the time. Blaney just runs away with stage 1. Maybe not all of stage 1, but at least like initially just runs off. But he did the fastest long speed run.
We saw Ty Gibbs not run away with it.
Yes.
And he made his way back there, but he did not run. He got passed right off the thing. That can happen. We've seen it all the time. So,
we saw Blaney also start at the pole in Phoenix, and he led a good portion there, but then he was also a consistent factor fighting his way back to the lead multiple times. He's just been the fastest guy. I mean, we kind of gotten to talk about Blaney here. We're talking about Elliott at first, but
That's
yeah,
right.
like Elliott's he's a fine place, kind of on the lower owned side if you want to make it a stand. I guess it's probably pretty fine. I would be too mad about it. I just think people kind of end up here just because they don't have much to spend their salary on. And
based on,
I don't know, Hendrick has not really been the team here. This has really been a JGR Penske track.
I'll show a domination station run later, but it's interesting who winds up in tons of lineups, but it's not Chase Elliott.
Nope.
It's Larson. So
it's Larson.
Spoiler alert, it's Larson. All right, so speaking of Larson, we all know who he is. We all love who he is. Good driver, won everything last season. Starting 21st.
He's a badass.
The rare place differential play for Kyle Larson. It's hard to pass it up. You know he's going to be in the top 6. Even if he doesn't lead a single lap this entire race, he'll make his way up into that top 10 group, probably a top 7 or 6. His win odds are even with anybody else, not better than, but level with anybody else. What's the reason to not play Larson outside of being 39% owned?
So we saw at Phoenix, he got mired by just starting initially off the rear. He was just caught in traffic, didn't really even move his way up that much before eventually having a mechanical issue that sent him out of there. So we don't really have any data on how well Larson runs at this track type in the next gen car, but this is a track that he won at with Chip Ganassi Racing back in 2017. So absolutely a place that there's no reason that he can't do really well. He's going to push for the top 10 eventually. That's not really much doubt in my mind. He didn't look terrific in practice, and this isn't exactly the best Hendrick track. We're definitely looking more at the JGRs here, but JGR has struggled this season. Be interesting to kind of see how the manufacturers tango there. But Larson's just going to be chalk. I think I have him as a core cash play. Like in cash, you play him. That makes a lot of sense. And I'm playing a good amount of cash this week, at least on DraftKings. I don't know if I'm really into it on GPP. He's going to be a big fade in like single entries and stuff like that. Not too interested in this chalk here, although I get it. It's Kyle Larson starting 21st. Yeah.
There's an interesting free style of
but
lineup.
At the same time, you just play the chalk here. That's like my go-to strategy in Richmond is like of all tracks to play the chalk at, Richmond is literally the best track to play chalk.
Yeah, but
I don't like playing chalk all the time, but yeah, the place differential chalk, however, I don't know if that is as much the move as just like the super obvious dominator chalk.
That's what I'm saying. Like place differential chalk or dominator chalk. And none of these dominators are that obvious anyway.
But he has a potential to dominate as well because he is Kyle Larson. So
he can get there. I mean, listen, I don't care where he's starting. He's Kyle Larson. If he's having a Kyle Larson race, he's going to get to the front. And he's going to dominate. I don't feel it. I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling that. But, he can do it. Kyle Busch starting 3rd. Fastest in practice, really good practice times in general, starting 3rd. Kyle Busch is one of those guys starting towards the front that has a chance of, by lap 14, all of a sudden he's passing Blaine. He gets there.
Yeah, he's starting right up in the front. Co-favorite currently. And yeah, we saw last year JGR just be super strong here. Probably my favorite bet out of the group because there's reason to be like bearish on Truex and Hamlin. They've really struggled this season. Kyle Busch has struggled over the last 2 seasons with not having practice and something about it's like a mental block for him or something. I don't know what it is, but something about having a practice back has gotten him in much better shape. We've seen him out there dominating again and doing things like we expect him to. He had the fastest lap in practice. Looks perfectly fine out there. So he's one of the better dominator type picks, and I don't think his ownership gets too crazy. I think people will be more attracted to Martin Truex Jr. and his immaculate track history here.
Man, Martin Truex Jr. gives me the douche chills a little bit. Man, he is just never great this year.
Absolutely not.
He's just hasn't been great.
He is a gentle soul.
No, I don't mean that about a person. I'm talking about for this race.
Individual.
I'm saying for this race, he's 33%. He's going to be higher owned than Kyle Busch. Is he still good?
I mean, he should be. his track history speaks for itself. His recent finish here is win 5th, 2nd, win 3rd. And last season, we saw him win here. We saw him win at Martinsville. Saw him win at Phoenix. Come 2nd in the championship race at Phoenix.
Don't you think he's old guard? Isn't it new school time now? Isn't it time for the Chastains and the Reddicks and the Briscoes and these guys to be leading, the Bells to be kind of leading in these Truex? I feel like Truex and Harvick, I'm throwing them in the same category of kind of like, on the other side of the hill.
Yeah. Well, but we have seen Truex like hang there so far this season. Outside of Phoenix, where he was taken out pretty early, like he's been a consistent like top 10 guy. That's never really been out of the question. And a track like this, I think he's going to be perfectly fine. Like the speeds are there and everything. Don't know why it's priced up so much on FanDuel. I guess that they just factor in track history a whole bunch more there. But yeah, I do agree with you. Like if it was last season, this would be a no-brainer play. This season, there's just a lot of these mid-tier, lower or younger drivers that are eating into these guys' usual workload. So your expectations for these guys have to be lowered. But at the same time, like whoever dominates, it doesn't really matter who gets out there. Whoever gets out there is just going to get a giant chunk of points in their lap. And he's constantly shown that he has the capability to get there, especially like late in races and stuff. But
I don't know. I'm inclined to
go a bit underweight too.
Yeah. I'm just a little inclined to be a little underweight. Not to say I'm fading, but my inclination right now is actually, especially at the highest cost range, I'd like to have a lot of these, lower 9K, 7 to 9K types in my lineups. I would really like to avoid having to put garbage in the lineup if I can, because I think this is going to play out a certain way where, you're going to have this.
You don't need any garbage, though, is the thing.
Yeah. I think you don't want to get too crazy with the trash in the lineup.
I'd honestly rather play Truex on FanDuel because you could easily afford him even at 14K. And his ownership's
no one will own
lower.
it. No one's gonna. It looks like people are rostering him even at 14K on FanDuel, which is crazy. So he's way overpriced on FanDuel. It's ridiculous. But he's playable there, I guess, because of finishing position. But yeah, like I said, I think a lot of these guys, the salaries have not adjusted to what I'm seeing with my eyes so far this season. I don't know if that carries over to every race, but I'm seeing where these kind of like even the Eric Joneses and the Swart, like these guys are just being much more competitive. So it's not like play the most expensive guy and they always win anymore.
The most competitive looking person is right here, Ryan Blaney. He's been a major factor in every single race this season. He has been leading laps, getting tons of fast laps. This dude is going off. And this is a track he sucks at, admittedly. He just got his first top 10 finish ever last season here by finishing 10th. So this is not a track he's very good at. Does that matter, though? I don't know. I think he just dominates this thing early, at least like stage 1. And I think he's a consistent factor up there because he's part of the young brigade up there. It's just getting better. And with Keselowski out of the picture, he's like clearly driver number 1 at Penske at this point.
I mean, the flip side is, or he doesn't, or he gets passed, and it's completely irrelevant at 40% ownership. So, Brian Blaney Classic.
I mean, that is an angle, I guess. It's just this is the track where if there's any track take the pole sitter at, you just take him here, especially on FanDuel. He's stupid cheap on FanDuel.
Let me take you back last season to the first race, which was, and I can't remember which one. You had Kyle Larson dominating everything. Then there was finally the run next to the wall track, like the Kyle Larson track that comes up. And going into the race, everybody, I have to play Larson. There has never been a more locked in spot to play Kyle Larson. It's his favorite track. I don't remember what track it is because I don't remember, but it was his favorite. He had been dominating, and it was 55. It didn't matter.
I think it was Atlanta where he dominated the first one, went to the second Atlanta race and didn't do anything. We remember those things because they stick out in our minds. But I mean, how often did also just the expected dominator dominate? That also happened a fair amount, but we don't remember that because there's no trauma associated with it.
But it's important to keep it in mind because, as much it looks like a great, situation for Blaney, we love the pole sitter here, et cetera, but that doesn't mean, for example, that he can't fall back He can't, and then just finish in 8th and 10th or whatever, and not do anything, and he destroys your line.
I just don't care if that happens.
Well, it's just not an all-in play. You got to have, if you're MMEing this, you got to be aware of all these different possibilities, and fading the chalk is always something that's extremely viable for every single, except for F1 racing, where.
There's a way I look at this track. I usually just don't pussyfoot. I just overload on chalk and the pole sitter and call it a day, because this has always worked for me.
I mean, there it is. So we'll see how it comes together. I don't see myself going over 40.
Even if he gets like past lap 1, which is going to be hard, he'll still be a factor throughout the race. He's going to rack up those fast laps. You've seen him constantly, and also just he had the best long run speed as well, and that's going to be huge here.
There we go. That's fair. So Denny Hamlin, another. Some of the old guard guys are priced up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Get Denny Hamlin coming in a 13th position, not a special track.
Hamlin, this is like.
Wait, let's go back to the tracks because wait a minute.
Yeah. No, he's stupid good here.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. What was the one? Historical? No. Where's the track type?
Track types, maybe.
Tell you how much they gain, right? So Denny Hamlin did not gain a whole lot here. So explain.
Just at short and flat tracks in general. He's particularly good at this track and New Hampshire. Hamlin hasn't really done too much.
Or is this just the last couple of years, so it's not kind of
this is since 2020.
Okay, that's why. All right, so yeah, because I'm like, wait a second, I don't see that. But yeah,
no, just long term at this track, like this is a place where he shines. Like last season, he had an average running position of 2nd in both of these races. He was just immaculate.
Yeah,
but
spectacular.
New season, and I'm not too interested in him actually. I think a lot of people are going to play him because they feel compelled to play Denny Hamlin. He looks slow as hell in practice, like really bad. His 10-lap average, 27th on the board. Not too hot.
But JGR is the team, according to what we've been talking about. So we'll see. Now, Toyota, it's the Toyota race.
Yeah, it's literally the Toyota Owners 400.
I mean, the Toyotas, right? At the Toyota
it's a smart sponsorship because this is the Toyotas have indeed owned this course. But now I just think people will play. He's $9,300. He's cheap. Great play on paper. I would just rather dump more shares into like Blaney, into just other plays that I'm into here. I mean, nothing really against Hamlin. He has noticeably struggled this season. His best finish is like what, 12th? It's not been too hot.
No, I'm telling
his best finish is 13th at Phoenix. But he's also just run into problems a lot along the way. But he just really hasn't gotten off the ground here in this next gen car. So it's just wait and see with guys like Hamlin.
Old guard,
if there's any old guard guy I'm playing, it's gonna be Logano because people literally hate to roster him, and he's like consistently pretty good here. Also, known cheater at Richmond, and on DraftKings we like that. FanDuel not so much.
I'm down with the cheating. How does he cheat?
I think he's been disqualified from multiple wins here for cheating. I don't know, but I like the effort. It's
it's like in MMA. I want a fighter that will do an eye gouge if necessary. They'll grab some fence. Grab it. I don't mind. Grab that fence. All right, Willie Byron. Willie Byron is somebody we got to spend a minute on. No one likes Willie Byron. Very low owned. Starting at the top, starting second. The expectation is Blaney's going to take the lead. Willie Byron will, melt away, and we'll forget about him.
He's admittedly not good at short tracks. Like, I think his best finish over the last 2 seasons of short tracks was a 4th at Martinsville. He's never really dominated, never really been a factor. But the opportunity is there. So there's like that 5% chance that he grabs the lead, maybe like 10% or something. And if he does, I mean, then it's pretty much free because whoever is the lead here just kind of gets points dumped in their lap. It's not like there's going to be cautions really that get in the way of that. So I mean, once you're out there, you're out there. On paper, though, the play is god-awful, but the ownership kind of forces your hand. Like, there's always an ownership number where you go, okay, yeah, just play this guy.
Can't go
find
under
in practice, unlike his teammates.
Yeah, you can't go under this 11%. I'd probably be over exclusively for ownership leverage and no other reason. But that's enough of a reason. to try to take down a tournament. All right, Russ Chastain, one of the best this season. Love Chastain, love him every week. He's the Kyle Larson of 2022. As of right now, he is.
Is it FOMO though? I don't know. Recent finishes: third, second, first. Out of this world.
I don't know if it's FOMO. Is it FOMO or it's just following your eyes? This guy's good this year. Right?
I'm following Phoenix. This is my angle for this race. I'm looking at Phoenix. That dude was pretty damn good at Phoenix, right? But like not. He finished second, but he did not run second. He wasn't like the second fastest car out there. His average running position was 9th, which was like, yeah.
By the way,
it is good.
These are really good for an 8,900 driver.
I just think he's going to be really high owned because people are like, all right, this guy is out of this world good. Did he look out of this world good in practice? Not so much. The longer run speeds in practice weren't really there. They're going to see finish second at Phoenix, pile up on him. Projections are going to be good. You have to project him like a dominator. Now at this point, he's proven clearly that he can compete. And a low cardage track, that is good for Chastain. I preferred betting him. I think I saw him at like 20-1. I bet that and I'm like, cool. For DraftKings though, I don't know if I want to pay up for as much on DraftKings. I kind of prefer taking him on Fanduel, but I think his ownership could be like, I don't know, if it was at 40%, I wouldn't even be shocked because at this point, people just look at the game log and go, okay, I need this guy immediately. He's not even 9K yet.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like he should be the most expensive driver.
Yeah.
Period.
Honestly, the way he's looked this season. But clearly they still use the algorithm that uses like previous year's information, which doesn't even matter. It's like,
and by the way,
he's raced in some god awful equipment before in the Cup Series.
It's the win odds. Yeah. They're not there yet. So the sports books have not caught up either, and therefore, I mean, DraftKings is looking.
I mean, they were really off home last week. They paid for it. So.
Oh yeah, they got we made them pay.
I thought I'd get priced way up, but no.
Nope.
14-1.
Chastain good play, starting in a weird spot. People don't like to roster the guy starting 8th. It's usually the Blaney and then some place differential. I think those are going to stand out. I think what everybody's going to do, and we'll get to some of those drivers in a minute. Alex Bowman's coming up. But what a lot of people are going to do is they're going to play either a Blaney they're going to play a Blaney probably. They're going to play one of Elliott or Larson as their spend ups. And then you'll start to get the Bowmans and the Kurt Busches. That's what your average lineup's going to look like. It's going to be those play stiff guys combined with a dominator and an elite place differential, one of Elliott or Larson. And what's not going to be attacked, and this is where I think the edge is on this slate, so I'm just giving out the edge right now. What I don't think you're going to see are the middling lineups where you don't even use these play stiff guys, but rather use, the Tyler Reddicks, some of these people that are, the Chris Bells
on board with you,
less place differential and more just general good drivers that are going to finish well and on the first lap and all of that. So I think there's an interesting way of constructing lineups that gives you uniqueness. And what you're not going to be unique doing is mixing, Blaney with Larson.
Oh, Bowman and Kurt Busch. Oh yeah.
And Bowman and Busch.
You're gonna win all the monies that way.
You ain't winning shit.
You're gonna tie with 80 of your comrades like I did last night.
Yeah, you ain't winning shit. So keep it in mind. Love Chastain though, and I think for me, Chastain is in that group of like he doesn't stand out for play stiff, so he's really interesting. And
play stiff does not matter here. Let's be honest.
It's
all about dominator upside, which he's proving clearly he can at any time this season.
If you don't catch the two dominators in your lineup, you're not winning this. There's going to be two guys that get 100.
Dominator crazy.
Yeah, there's going to be two that get 100 plus. There might be a
Bowman could finish like 5th, but he's not going to score anywhere near as much as like the two dominators. Granted, you could probably just play him alongside.
You could probably afford that. I'm not. Yeah, I think you might be able to.
Super easy to do on this slate because of how cheap the place differential is here. It's just.
So let's move on.
He's not going to be the slate breaker.
I need. Where's Brady, the Bell Whisperer? But Christopher Bell starting 9th. A track that is very good for him. Let's go back to the screen.
74 fast laps.
I'm interested
at this race last year.
I'm interested in Christopher Bell. I am. I'm interested. 13% better on average than at this track for him than other tracks. He stands out, Taco.
He made everyone his bitch here in Xfinity.
He stands
And
out.
you could probably see it. I see it happening eventually. He really hasn't broken out with a huge dominator performance at tracks like these yet in the Cup Series, which we're waiting, kind of seeing, because I know it's coming up eventually. It's going to happen. This is a JGR track. And again, he didn't lead very many laps last year, but Jesus Christ, the 74 fast laps, that thing was a rocket. $8,700, still cheap, mad cheap on FanDuel. Pretty good play. Lower owned, or coming in lower owned than Chastain, but might have a similar kind of upside to him.
I mean, he hasn't been as good as Chastain this year, let's be honest. But Christopher Bell does stand out at certain track types, and last year we loaded up on Bell on these tracks, and it really paid off. So, I anytime somebody won me money, I have like an affinity for them. I want to go back to it in the same situations, and this feels like
also just a cheap JGR car that's not a boomer, right? Driving it, so I kind of like that.
Toyota, baby. This is the Toyota owners race. Like, this guy owns a Toyota right now, so that is telling. So I like Christopher Bell, and I like where he's starting. Again, I do not think that people are going to want to pair up Bell and Chastain and Blaney. Like, getting 3 of these 8K9, that's not how lineup construction is going to look. So if your lineup construction looks like that, I think there's some uniqueness to it that's going to make it really interesting. Bowman is the chalk place differential guy. Understandable. Starting 28th. What is the scenario where Alex Bowman doesn't make the nuts?
3 guys dominate, and you need those guys instead, or just 3? He doesn't do that great.
He's got to finish. If he finishes 10th, I think he's in the nuts. So
Bowman actually won this race last year. He also won at Martinsville last year, and he's already won this season. Like, he randomly be winning. He almost won last week on the final lap.
Perfectly
Dude
good
comes
driver.
Out of nowhere. Yeah, he's
the right team. It's hard. It's a strong play with Bowman. There's a reason he's core cash. He's going to be highly owned. He's actually, this ownership is actually lower than
most weeks. I would fade this chalk or try to. I think this is just terrific chalk. Starting 28th. It's really hard to see. He's 8,500 too. If it was like 9,000 or something, probably we're about where he should be priced. Yeah. Maybe we can talk about fading him.
You've got a lot of stars on Chase.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm moving on, man. Listen, he's an obvious play. You want to play Bowman?
Yeah.
He's a play. Like,
Chase, Chase Briscoe literally has the winning car from Phoenix. He's driving.
Briscoe, like, and Russ Chastain is the guy. What? Chase Briscoe's good too now. Like,
Russ Chastain had to finish with not a mirror full, but just a windshield full of Chase Briscoe in his face, winning the race on him.
He did.
He was a beast. This is his breakout race, and he was like the lowest owned play on the slate too.
I don't believe that your ownership on him, I think, is wrong.
What do you think he's going to be? Low?
Way lower than this. I'm gonna
no chance. Everyone knows that he has a winning car here.
Nah, I think you're outsmarting yourself.
No way. No way. Everyone knows this.
All right.
It's literally a NASCAR.com article. He is driving the winning race car. He's starting 4th. He's also like factored in every race this year. He's like right there with Chastain.
I say
when it comes to like breakout drivers this year. I hope he comes in under 20%.
Right. Side bet, Taco.
All right.
I don't know what the bet needs to be, but I'm going to say in the $4 or the cheaper contest, whatever it is that is, right? The mini max. Under
Look,
20. I'm giving
that's a win. That's a win on both sides. Because even if I lose that bet, then I still win because I'm getting Briscoe at low ownership.
Yeah, I know you're affecting literally the ownership in that contest.
Literally the exact same car.
I've got him under 20%. Under 20%. You got it over. All right, we'll talk about it next week. See who won that one.
He's dominated in every single race this season except for Las Vegas.
He's not going to be owned.
He was the second highest dominator at Phoenix, the winner of the track or winner of the race.
I'll see. We'll see if I'm right. I don't know.
$8,400. He's just like a cheaper version of Chastain.
He's
very nice. It's hard to see people not going to this spot as like a 3rd or 4th option in a lineup, though.
I don't think it's going to be because he's starting 4th. They're going to expect him to fall back and lose points.
I guess. I mean, if people are brain dead, they want to play it that way. You want the top 5 guys. This is like the track you want that at. So
They will play it.
I would welcome the lower ownership.
It's gonna happen.
I'm all about that.
Now, a guy I like a lot here, Tyler Reddick. I always like Tyler Reddick.
Mhm.
He's just a guy I always like a lot. He's really good. He's young guns.
Briscoe, Reddick, and Chastain. It's like those. Oh, you're gonna eventually throw in Suarez. He hasn't busted out yet. Like he did last week before he's taken out. But like those are gonna be like the 4 horsemen.
I've been sleeping on Daniel Suarez all season, thinking Trackhouse wasn't that great, but like they are great, right? So, well, we'll get to it in a second. But yeah, Tyler Reddick, great. What's not to like about
it?
Tyler
Hasn't
Reddick?
even mattered. Like at tracks that he's not very good at, he's been like running top 5. He was terrific here at Phoenix, and Phoenix is not a place he's been good at, but he was one of the top drivers, ran top 5 pretty much all race.
You know,
average running position is 6th.
If YouTube would let me play whatever music I wanted, I'd have a little Bon Jovi Young Guns going. You know what I'm saying? Like a little wow. Young Guns. We got the Young Guns.
Thank God for copyright laws.
Yeah, you're pretty lucky about that.
But yeah, Tyler Reddick, cheap. Why is he so cheap? Why did he get priced down at $8,200? I don't get it. But starting 16th, yeah, that's fine play. Like FanDuel, they've got it down right. That price is good for him. 10-8. Like that's where he should be priced at from now on. 8-2 on DraftKings.
Disrespectful.
Forget about it. Disrespectful.
Now, this is the other thing. Notice, there's a dichotomy here, right? And who's going the opposite direction? It's Kevin Harvick. That price is just going down, and you can't make him cheap enough. You can't make him cheap enough.
Kevin Harvick did also have a 6th place average running position at Phoenix, but no one wants to play Kevin Harvick. Ew, that's an old boomer. Get him out of here.
Get him out of there.
He's down to 8K. How far will he drop? Will he hit 7K?
Jimmy Johnson, whatever.
He really feels like Jimmy Johnson right now, doesn't he?
He feels like the Swan Song, but the difference was Jimmy Johnson. They kept the salary at 10K, like the whole Swan Song season.
To be fair, last year Harvick was dog shit every track type except for short tracks, where this is the only time he actually like showed signs of life. Just not interested. I don't think anyone's gonna be interested. Let's all just forget about Kevin Harvick. Boo, Kevin Harvick, go chase.
Even at his salary, starting 7th. Listen, if he finishes top 5, he's going to be there. He's going to be in the nuts. But like, you know,
this guy, not see him dominating.
Yeah, no domination's coming. All right, Kurt Busch, in the Michael Jordan car, starting 27. We got another chalk play here. He's a heavy cash play, of course, 7,900, starting 27. You have him only.
Yeah, just play him in cash. I don't care about him in GPP. He hasn't finished top 10 at Richmond in 7 races. It's been pretty bad. Also, all last season, he looked pretty dog shit.
He will not do enough.
He did do well in the Phoenix race, though, so I don't know how I feel about that.
He needs to get to the top 10 to be in the
I just don't like the concept of playing place differential at Richmond. That's just not what I'm all about. I'm kind of like I'm playing Bowman of any of these two. There's just more reason to play Bowman. I mean, I like Kurt Busch, cool guy and all, but he doesn't have any dominator upside, I don't think. Because where Bowman, I think he actually does have, like, if he could, I could see him work his way back up the field and like leading by stage 3. Like, oh, where did he come from? Just don't see it from Kurt Busch, and I think Kurt Busch will. I don't know. I just rather have someone like Briscoe or Reddick.
Well, again, you talk about,
we're kind of reaching a dead zone here because
you mentioned Suarez, so you know. Again, I don't know about this track for Suarez, whatever, but when you're pulling the trigger,
Suarez time is coming.
He's a good driver. Like he's got a skill. That car is good. So, but he's not going to be.
He may say amigo a few too many times on the broadcast or Xfinity, but you got Trackhouse. We've seen it with Chastain. I think it's a little too early in the season for us to decide. Okay, these are the it drivers now. Like right now, it really does feel like Reddick, Briscoe, Chastain, those are like the it drivers, but Suarez literally crushed last week and they just got taken out. It was a shame because he was like the car to be. He dominated everything from like 2nd place or something.
No ownership, Taco. He will not be owned. Starting 14th, no one's going to touch him. Again, no one's going to touch him.
Being a bit overweight on him here for sure.
Yeah, you go.
Because Kurt Busch is right there, and everyone's feeling like, yeah, I'm gonna take Kurt Busch.
So here's a guy that his history of short, flat tracks looks pretty good, but his recent history of just kind of being dog shit doesn't make me happy, and that's Aric Almirola.
This season he's actually overperformed pretty consistently. It's kind of crazy.
Last year he was a destroy your lineups guy, but he's been fine. But he's not
like Las Vegas at Auto Club. He finished 6th, 12th at Phoenix. Like, it's perfectly fine. Last season he was so bad at 1.5 mile tracks, but when he went to the short tracks, he honestly did pretty good. Got a win. Won at New Hampshire, which is a pretty similar track to this one. I don't like the fact that I even have to consider him, because I like to just fade him and move on because I don't like this range. But I could see him screwing me. I'm still gonna fade him. It's just like he's more alive than I wish he was.
He's got to
finish. He's a boring play. I want to just play like Suarez or something instead, who's cool and new and shiny.
There it is. Like Almarola needs a top 8.
This is last season too, and I think that drivers tend to mail it in their last season.
How do we know it's his last? Has Almarola said he's retiring?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that never works out very well. Erik Jones starting 5th, really really tough to pull to want to play him at all. Starting 5th, but Erik Jones has burned us from the 5th starting spot before. Cap City Code is asking if Erik Jones is starting at the rear. I didn't hear anything about that. If that happened,
last time it was just Haley and Biffle. We're looking at that real quick.
Yeah, I mean, like, unless something changed while we've been doing this, I haven't heard anything about him starting at the rear. But if he did, I would full fade it at starting 5th. I think. Yeah. I mean, starting 5th is, he will burn you if he finishes in 5th. He's going to be in the nuts. So there's that 5% chance that he's a top 5. That's about what my exposure would be because the ownership allows for it. If he's going to be 6% owned, you can take a shot on that. Now, here's an interesting one that also very low owned here. Austin Cindric.
Well,
why do you hate Austin Cindric?
Because he looked dog shit in practice. Like, he was actually like BJ McLeod slow in practice, and it's really curious as to why.
But if we just ignore that and say it's still Austin Cindric, he's been pretty damn good this year. He's cheap and starting 20th.
I don't see anything about Erik Jones going to the rear.
I would not assume that just because that was a comment.
Citation needed, I guess.
Yeah, there was the comment. I'm ignoring it. No. So Austin Cindric, tell me, like, I'm really not going to play him just because his practice time wasn't that great.
I did want to mention that, like, Jones could actually, like, I could see him dominating from 5th, like, low key. He's actually fast in practice and stuff. Like, it's a small chance, but I mean, you can't rule that out, especially this year. Like, other years, you'd be like, whatever, Jones starting 5th.
You always got to think.
He showed flashes of, like, actual speed. He did dominate one of these races. It was early on in the season, like Auto Club. Auto Club, he was literally the 2nd top dominator. He crushed that race. Haven't really seen it since, but just something interesting to keep in mind. Like, you don't want 0 Erik Jones. I'd say just, like, if you're multi-entering, at least like a splash of them just in case.
If you're using the Dom Station, you want to the best way to get exposure to guys like that using the Domination Station Optimizer, rather than messing too much with their projections, you just want to slap a minimum exposure on them. So you might look at Jones. What's that?
Bump. Just a little baby one.
Yeah, just but you don't want to mess with.
I honestly like hand building little like off dominators like this, like hand build a line or two, and then just exclude them from your actual run.
You could do it that way too. What I do is I use the force min. So I just want to make sure, all right, I want to have a specific exposure. I'm like, all right, Erik Jones, I hate him. I would never play him here. I don't like anything, but I'm going to hit like 9%. And I'm just going to make sure that some percentage of my lineups, in case he does that crazy thing where right off the pole, he finds his way to the front, or it's that one race a season where Erik Jones dominates, or he just finishes top 5 because crazy shit happens. I don't think it's going to go down that way, but like having 3 to 4, 5% on these low owned guys, that's totally fine. Especially you can mix that up with some chalk. So you're not winning this race by having all 25 to 35% owned drivers. That just does not win DFS tournaments. And if it does, you're damn well sharing it. So it's not a very plus EV approach. Brad Keselowski, I'm just going to say real quick, he's a turd this year.
Bro, I'm just scared that he's literally going to cheese. And if there's one thing you could do to gain track position here, it's by like cheesing pit strategy. It's probably not going to work. But
He
like, if
doesn't have
anyone's
that
going to do it, it's
same
going to be
groove.
Keselowski.
That's how he used to do it when he had a different.
That's still how he's going to do it.
But
He's a little rat.
His crew is different now. Like, he doesn't have those slick thinking, strategists in his pit. He's got, some new guy that he hadn't worked.
I'm just saying he's not really going to get there through like speed or anything.
Starting 19th.
I'm not really too worried about him.
Yeah. He's starting at a good spot for the price. It's fine. So let's talk about Austin Dillon, who looks pretty chalky. He's been pretty good at this track. You got 4.5 stars on him.
I hope he's not chalky. So I've been waiting to play Dillon for weeks now because he's had so much hidden speed, especially at Phoenix. He was honestly impressive at Phoenix. He ran every single freaking lap inside the top 10 and then was taken out towards the end, ended up finishing like in the deep 20s. So people looking at game logs are going to go, how do you do at Phoenix? Not great? Wrong. He did terrific, honestly. And he's been really low owned, especially that Phoenix race. He was like super low owned, and he was going to mess the slate up for a lot of people until he got taken out. I just don't know if people really remember. He's been like over qualifying and stuff. He's not really been on anyone's radar. This is kind of the week I've been waiting for. Unfortunately, he's so freaking cheap now that he's going to be chalk, and I'm kind of bummed. I wish he was overpriced so I could just play him at lower ownership.
We'll see if it plays out.
He's stupid cheap. 7K? This is one of his better tracks, honestly.
He's not exactly getting crazy win odds that are making his numbers jump or anything like that, so we'll have to see. But he's definitely better win odds than the rest of this salary range. It gets really bad from here. So
I mean, his Richmond finishes, honestly, 11th, 10th, 4th, 23rd, 6th. He's just someone you can count on to run top 15, right? Run somewhere between 10th and 15th. It's literally all you're asking for 7K, and this is about as low as you need to go on the slate.
I was
maybe
just about
like
to say
take
that.
one guy in the 6K with Dillon, and you can basically afford whoever you want. It's not a big deal, and there are tons of options to choose from.
I was just going to go there with it. If you're building well this week, I think that you can maybe one of these guys, but hopefully not one of these guys in every lineup, at most one. And actually, that's a really interesting rule to make if you're making lineups this week, to sort of force the optimizer not to.
I love shitter rules this week. I love shitter rules.
All right. Well, we're fucking thinking the same. We'll do, you know what, guys? If you hang around, smash a like or something. Subscribe to the channel so I see it. I'll bring up the domination station on screen at the end. I'll run some lineups real quick, show a little setup. But most importantly, Taco and I will set up a shitter rule that might really be the difference between making money and not making money on this slate.
I love the shitter rule.
Yeah, no turds. Don't want a lot of turds. Don't want a lot of turds in my lineup, Taco. I don't want the fucking
don't want those lineups at the end with all turds in them.
No, you're going to get them if you don't make the shitter rule. So,
Dillon is just such a nice play because he's so consistently and it's all you really have to ask for. I like it, man. And also like RCR on the up and up. This is one of the exact teams.
RCR.
Yeah, this is with Reddick especially, and even Dillon, he's looked really good this season. Like, they're just so much closer to the top teams than they ever have been before. No reason for him to really be down here at 7K, but yeah, I'll take it.
I'll take that starting position too, especially with everybody going to Bowman and Kurt Busch. You could really get some edge because I'm skeptical of some of these ownerships. I think we're gonna see like, I don't know. Is it Bowman who's gonna get extreme?
Man, I hope I'm wrong, but people probably will just play Dillon. I'm not the only person that sees this, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll have to see. All right, so now we get to the shitter zone.
Yeah.
And
Buscher, okay, so Buscher was like second in practice across the board. I don't know why. I can't think of many other times I've seen Buscher do this, but like I remember he did this at Kentucky once randomly, and he was like super fast. But this is a track he is god awful at. This is not a track for him. He did look good at Phoenix though, so I don't know. Overqualified, like he's literally starting 18th at a track that he'd never finished his top 20 at, like, ever. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. To just throw out track history and let's take a YOLO on Buscher? I don't know.
Let's see what Brady has to say. Brady has a very different take. Something about this car and a flat track that seems to be working for him. He showed great speed. But Brady don't hate no Chris Buescher.
See, he's kind of thinking like I was just gonna write him off too, but this is like was nagging in my brain as well. Because if you go to that track type tab, I mean, he was one of the guys at the very bottom of this track type. He is just not good at short and flat tracks, but that practice speed was amazing, honestly.
He's showing at the way bottom, but like you said, hey,
but it wasn't even
looks good.
It wasn't the longest run speed, but still, I mean, for him, it was really good.
Who knows? That's what I think. I don't know that I'm on board with your full fade approach.
I wanted to full fade him, but you kind of have to take a bit of him just because he's been showing some shit.
Yeah,
no, but usually,
I'm not on board. Now, we get some interesting one. Michael McDowell, he's one of the worst.
Michael McDowell actually he fucking sucks here.
Yeah.
You see, McDowell and Buescher, those are the two at the very bottom of this track type.
Yeah, I've been very bad here. Yeah. AJ Allmendinger, he's driving in the Cup Series now. He's the road track guy, but here he is. They're letting him in, letting him drive for this race. I don't know what to make of Allmendinger, but I don't think he's going to be high owned.
I don't know. He's a weird one. It's kind of hard to project how it'll go. He did run the Phoenix race, and he was literally as average as it came. Finished 20th, ran 20th, so like mid-pack. But starting back in 26, you don't need to go this low. And starting back in 26, like this is why I like Dillon so much. He's starting in the rear, and he is very likely to stay on the lead lap. He has a knack for it. As for Allmendinger, I see him getting lapped. And getting lapped here fucking sucks.
Well, I mean, you lock yourself into like 16th or worse as soon as you go down a lap basically, and you're not going to get.
This is not a track he did well at when he did run full time in the Cup Series. He couldn't even find a top 25 finish towards the end of his run. It was really bad looking.
Let's get to some dangerous chalk plays here, or the one last dangerous chalk. Ricky's, I think, very dangerous chalk, very, very at risk of falling behind the lap.
He looked dreadful in practice, and I think he just gets stuck laps down. Like he's starting too far back. Like if there's randomly like a bunch of cautions or something, and he's able to just like stand on the lead lap, work his way forward, like that could work. But this is not the track I want to take guys starting in the 30s unless they're like an elite driver, and he's like 300-1, and Stenhouse just not that guy. Not
he's
really
particularly worse this season than he's been. He's kind of taken a step back.
Track history is actually all right. It's just like I think he gets lapped, and it's just so hard to get out from being lapped.
Stenhouse Jr. does not stand out on this type of track at all. So I don't know. I think he's going to be high owned. I think this is going to be one of those spots where you see the cheapness.
I just see no need to go this far.
This is that whole strategy I'm talking about. Use the middling guys to try to avoid this. So Haley is unplayable, being moved to the back.
No, he is a pass-through penalty, and pass-through penalties at short tracks fucking sucks, especially a track where we're not getting a competition caution, and we may not get very many actual cautions here besides stage breaks. It's kind of the way this race goes. So this is very dangerous.
He falls a lap behind.
Even if he was starting 36 just naturally, I wouldn't be too into it because he's going laps down. He is guaranteed to go laps down. There's just aren't the lucky dogs for him to even fight his way back. I think he's just screwed.
All right, so here's an interesting one. Normally, I would write off Cole Custer completely, right? And you've got
this is like the low. So this is like the lowest, young guard kind of play. It's sort of like Eric Jones, but even worse because it's like he's so cheap, starting 12th.
We can make fun of his overqualifying all we like, but we've spent an entire hour discussing why this really isn't a play stiff track. Why this is more of.
But does he have the Dominator upside?
Do you need it for 6,100?
Remains to be seen, absolutely. But at the same time, yeah.
Do you need it? You're going to play Kurt Busch to try to afford this other stuff. But like, if you're going to play a cheapie, what if it's Cole Custer? And what if Cole Custer at 6,100 finishes 9th?
Cole has it in him, really.
Or 8th. He finishes 8th. And he's in the nuts at 4% ownership. This
He's starting 12th. He has never finished better than 12th.
Doesn't matter. Because I don't care. Cole Custer was dog shit last year. He is a new man. He is a new man. This is the GPP play of the race. All right. I'm calling it 1 hour, 15 minutes in to the podcast.
I just don't think he dominates. He's never dominated before. It would be brand new.
Don't want it. All I want is for him to finish in the top 10, Taco, and he will.
He's also never finished in the top 10.
Forget never. His history. He was dry. He was terrible last year. He's different.
All right. I'll let you have this one.
This is mine. I'm taking it.
All right.
12th is not that bad. He's not starting
here.
He's starting 12th. I just need him to finish in the top 8, and he will deliver a tournament victory for you. That means a GPP takedown. So you win the money. You don't win it by playing Bubba or these other guys. Cole Custer, very interesting for me. Let's see what Brady said. Don't mind sparkling. Okay, undervalued. There you go. So Brady, okay.
There you go.
Let's see what Nilly says. Harder to find some of the names on Nilly's sheet here. Whatever. All right. Bubba Wallace, 29th. This is another guy. He's going to track ownership.
Not a short track, then I'd be interested. Like starting 29th, yeah, his equipment's better than that. I don't want too many shitters.
We don't want too many shitters in our lineups here. Let's keep it in mind.
The equipment ain't shitter. It's just I don't see him. I think Austin Dillon is like the cutoff point for me, to where like I don't think Dillon would get lapped. Maybe he'll go lap down and get a lucky dog. Bubba? I'm pretty damn sure he's gonna get lapped. Like he might get lapped multiple times, and that's just.
If he gets lapped, he's done. This is the problem with these guys starting towards the back. You're lapped, you're finished. He will not be in the nuts lineup. People are, well, he's got the place differential upside. You will not be in the nuts lineup if you get lapped. Period. So he needs to not get lapped in order to have any shot of being in the perfect lineup.
Well, you can actually, like, you can get lapped and still finish like 15th.
That's not going to
be if it gets to that point. But that's not. It's not going to be too crazy.
This is what I'm saying.
Also just don't think you need to go this slow.
This is not the track where
on FanDuel. On FanDuel, you play Bubba Wallace. Yeah.
If you need to, I guess. But I want finishing position. No, I don't play him on FanDuel either. FanDuel, I want finishing position. I want the guys who finish in the top 8. I think you'll be able to roster all 6 because of the way salaries work. You should be able to get all 6 of your drivers in the top 8 or 9. So if you approach the race with that thought in mind, I'm not even worried about. That's where you allow yourself to not worry about the place differential. If you think, as long as I have all of my drivers finishing, everybody from the top 8 or 9, you have 6 drivers in your lineup, you will be able to afford all of them in the top 9 or so.
Yeah.
Lineups to reflect that.
It is just really easy. Like this pricing is just pretty soft across the board.
That's the edge. That's the strategy I'm going with here. All right, so let's get to the complete turd zone. I think
let's power through this shit. This doesn't really matter too much.
This is the fade zone here. You're not playing Burton. You're not playing.
Stop there, Harrison Burton. If you hear me, please stop. Stop over qualifying. Stop looking good in practice. You're annoying.
He looked great in practice, by the way. He looks great.
Annoying as hell, dude. I can't anymore with this guy.
You got to ignore it. You got to ignore it. Gillian, too. I mean, by the way, Burton, if you're paying attention to practice, you're like, oh, Harrison Burton, he looked pretty good. He looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Nope.
He did, honestly.
Ignore. The one person I think.
Might stand I mean, I hate this guy, dude.
Colo?
But Gilliland, yeah, he overqualified. Jesus Christ. LaJoy and Dillon, love these guys. I think Brady really likes Dillon. I would like to like Dillon. I just don't. Again, I'm avoiding this range just out of principle.
I'm going to play some Dillon just because of principle of Brady calling him a core.
5-star? Oh, my gosh.
5-star core play. He is very offended by now. Brady's mind works a little differently than Brady's looking at like, hey, he's
looking at a 500 to 1, which I agree. Slanders. Why?
Like basically, he's pissed that Dillon is thrown in the same pot with like Colo, or that he's considered worse by the odds makers than like a Justin Haley or a Ricky Stenhouse. That's what's pissing off Brady.
Of course. I understand that.
But that's his focus. My focus is who's going to win me this tournament. And Ty Dillon is probably another one that you can expect will be a lap or two
He sneaks
behind
up there, but I don't know if you need him.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like necessary. All right, I'm going to throw up the Dom station here real quick, Taco. And
let's go.
Let's do a little run and see if we can't. Let's make a shitter rule, first of all.
Oh, yes. Player combination rules. Let's go.
Okay.
So I like sorting by fantasy points per dollar to the very lowest.
I do it by actual fantasy points.
I do it by fantasy points per dollar just to get a sense of like who the biggest shitters are. Obviously, you've got a bunch of unfriend yous.
I mean, these are already unfriended. Oh, by the way, hey, you're getting a little insight into my fucking screen. I'm not playing these guys.
Right? No, I go a little deep into this a bit, like where, I mean, you have more unchecks, but like I would make I would take the worst plays and then just do across the board, no more than one. I'm not going to take more than one like charity play.
I've unfriended this whole Garbaggio zone. So of the non-garbage zone here, I'm gonna put Bubba. All right, let's 0 to 1 of Bubba. I'm putting him in the turd zone. Ty Dillon. I don't want two of these guys.
Yeah,
I want two of them.
There's absolutely no need to take two super cheap place differential plays.
Colo, of course. I'm even going to include.
I thought you were going to type in Colo.
Yeah,
hilarious.
Cole Custer, Cole. All right, who else might be in the shit zone? Dinger, Buscher, Almarola.
Mm-hmm. And just a simple no more than one. It's such a nice thing to have. It makes your lineups like a lot better across the board, I think. Because
the no shitter rule.
When I take a shitter and take a shot on them, I want to wrap that around with like more chalky plays, you know.
Yeah, you want these.
I don't want all the shitter plays together in a lineup. That makes no sense.
Optimized lineups look bad when you have like 2 or 3 of these guys squeezed in with like Elliott, Larson. You don't want that. So the rule is stack between 0 and 1. Now, notice what I did though. I have all these shitters unfriended. So if you had these guys where they were actually usable, you would actually want to make this rule a little bit more aggressive. Secondarily, let's talk about what we talked about earlier with dominator stacking options. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort by starting position. I'm going to actually take the dominators all the way out. I don't think Suarez is really a dominator.
Yeah.
I kind of want 2 of these guys. I'm going to say at least 2. I'm actually going to include Suarez in this now. I want at least two drivers starting in the top 16. Is that fair?
Yeah, but do you want it to be Suarez Reddick? I mean, it's probably also going to give you more dominators on top of that, but
yeah,
I see what you mean.
Yeah, I'm it's an at least, not at most. So I'm gonna do at least 2 of these guys. I want you. We're saying this. I could almost do at least 3. I almost feel like Taco getting aggressive with it.
I don't like doing at least 3 of anything just because I feel like it over constrains the DS. It makes it sad.
I agree with you, but wouldn't it be interesting the way lineups would look if you forced it that way? And I would like write a rule, like a player combination rule, and then do it like if you're doing 100 lineups, do it like 80 out of 100 or something. I like that concept for a lot of the rules. Yeah, like the at least 3, but maybe not do for every single lineup I build. The hard part is you start getting duplicates. But how about this? We've got
I'm honestly okay with duplicate lineups sometimes.
So maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll save the last 20. Or you know what? Maybe I'll do half with an at least 3 dominators and just like really embrace the idea that this is the kind of race where getting a lot of drivers starting in the top group. Like this is embracing the statistics. The statistics say you don't want drivers from the back. They don't really do that well here, or 1 or 2 is fine, but don't go too many. This will force it. This will get you the Cole Custers, which by the way, will not show up in a lineup if I don't do something. Like you have to do something.
Yeah.
Even a Nador on Cole, he will not show up in your lineup. you basically have to force Cole Custer min 10% to get any of him. He won't show up.
Yep.
So let's see what happens when I run it with this rule. I'm just curious. I have 170 lineups reserved for today. So Blaney, let's see what our top lineup looks like. Blaney, okay. Chastain, like it. Bowman, Reddick, Kurt Busch, Austin Dillon. So here you got your 2 chalk plays, but the second rule could be, you know what? Here's the other component of this that might be really interesting. 196% for the super chalky. Let me go down a little bit here. 173, 160. So what if I do a total ownership?
You could almost like sort it by ownership and then just get a sense of what's.
Yeah, I mean, this is the chalkiest, right? 196. Like. So Truex, Blaney, Chastain. This is where you get
sorted by percent owned.
Now, of course, I limited some shitters, or we might have seen like a little bit something slightly different.
Whoa! Don't give out my cash lineup like that.
Nah. Is this it?
Nah, it might be the Larson one though. I'm not gonna lie.
All right, well, we're not gonna say what's what, but you're not putting this.
Oh no, it's got Chastain. We're chilling.
Yeah,
I'm not playing Bubba in cash. We good.
I'm getting a lot of Dillon. So for those of you guys who like to watch this and just copy the exposures, don't do that. This is not what I'm going with. You can see I did make some adjustments. Like I said, if you want to look at what I've done so far, I've raised up a couple of these guys who I wasn't getting exposure to. Originally, I have to force Cole Custer. He won't show up in lineups. I had to raise the projection on Chase Elliott. Still not getting a ton, but I've still got a lot of work to do in terms of limiting exposure. There's no way I'm going this high on Dillon, even though, I mean, the projection, Taco, loves him some Dillon.
That was a conservative-ass projection, too.
Yeah, I don't know. Fuck, Dillon looks like the play. I definitely loaded up on Dillon on Super Draft as well. So that's going to be it for this breakdown, guys. You got a little taste of some domination optimizer setup. We went through the whole slate. Who do you pick to win it, Taco? Who's your win pick? And guys, in the comments, if you're still with us, drop your win pick in there. Let's see if you can nail this one. But Taco, who's winning this one? We're on a pretty good streak of picking winners.
I want to cheat and say Chase and then not specify which one.
Yeah, there we go.
But no. This is a tough one because again, just like the books, like it's
somebody DM Brady in chat and find out who his win pick is. Also, we'll do that after in the Discord. Who are you saying?
I'm gonna say not Blaney, but I also do think Blaney is like the main dominator, but I don't think he wins. I think, yeah, I'm gonna roll with the Chase, man. I say Chase wins.
Elliott,
and I will not elaborate further.
One of the Chases, cheater, cheater. Man, I've been on a run. You know who I'm feeling, and I'm gonna go a little bit off the deep end here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with Christopher Bell.
Solid choice.
He shows up.
This finally his breakout short track.
He likes.
I've been waiting
track.
for it, man.
He gets the plus. I believe the stats. Where is it? I don't remember what it was. I can't remember which tab to push, but ratings, track types.
Track types.
Yeah, here we go. Christopher Bell, short flat. He's one of those guys that gets a lot better. I like, Chase, but Christopher Bell better on these tracks. So I'm going with Bell. And if you bet Christopher Bell, it's like, the odds are pretty damn good right now. So you can get about 13, 14 to 1 on that one. All right, Taco, good luck today. Let's crush this race. I think we've got about 2.5 hours or so until start time.
It's 2 hours.
There we go. About 2 hours or so. So let's crush today. Got lots and lots of lineups to build.
Let's go.
Good luck, everyone. Deuces. We'll see you next time.
Peace.